Investment advisory services offered through Independent Solutions Wealth Management and Blackridge Asset Management, LLC. Peak Broker Services, LLC is not an affiliate of Independent Solutions or Financial Guys, LLC.
You're listening to The Financial Guys.
We're $23 trillion in debt, honey. We don't have an extra surplus of money.
Newsflash, guys, stop attacking businesses, because when all the businesses are gone, nobody's going to pay your salary anymore. You get that?
If the goal is to create a loser mentality, you're winning.
I'm going to build a big, beautiful wall with a big, beautiful door. Well, guess what? We have a big, beautiful door, all right. It's the wide open southern border, right?
Yeah.
Here's Glenn Wiggle and Mike Lomas.
All right, welcome back. Mike Lomas, Glenn Wiggle, Financial Guys. See, we were told to smile before. Then you come on with a happy face. And
right.
That was your daughter who yells at us all the time.
Yes,
when we do videos or commercials, she says smile because both of us are like real serious all the time.
We're focused. We're concentrating.
Yes. Mike Lomas, Glenn Wiggle. We're going to talk about liberal hypocrisy today. And of course, as we always do, we go all over the place. And that's what's fun about this podcast. You know, it's not the same old for 35, 40, 50 minutes. It is a bunch of just scratching your head lately. I mean, I look at the last few months, Glenn, and if you would have told me 6 months ago, a year ago, that people would be wearing face masks everywhere, they'd be getting in fist fights if you don't wear a face mask all over the flu, shutting down and destroying much of our service economy, which is a huge percentage of our overall economy here in the United States of America, just crushing it. And continuing to crush it. You know, I was looking at the numbers the other day. We're here in Erie County, New York, and I think there's 33 people in the hospital right now with COVID.
Yep.
99% of them will just come out just fine, right?
99.7.
99, sorry.
Or more.
99.7 of the 33, right? So right now in Erie County, there's a much higher probability that you will lose your life in a car accident or walking somewhere, right? We're already doing the bullshit about the kids aren't going to go back to school or they got to go back to school in hazmat suits.
Well, did you see the daycare
thing?
thing?
Yeah.
40 to 50% of daycares are not coming back.
Terrible.
So if you are a parent that was looking forward to getting your kids back into daycare, maybe putting them back in school so you could go back to work, no. They're gonna make sure they wreck that too, so you have no opportunity to go back to work and actually make a living. But don't worry, the Erie County workers, they got plenty of overtime pay. They're doing just fine. How sickening is that?
Yeah, I know.
Like, how insulting is that?
Right.
There are people that are literally standing in food lines now because they can't feed their family.
Business
and
owners,
you're racking up overtime to fleece the taxpayers?
To do what?
How dare you? Where's my button? How dare you? Erie County Hall was closed.
Even many of the things that they could have outsourced and done online, right?
They didn't.
Like, so it's your point with
like
the DMV.
roads and bridges?
Yeah. Like the DMV, right? Like, you mean to tell me that they couldn't take those calls from home, right?
Oh, please. Of course they could have.
So now we're finding out that they're getting all kinds of overtime. Mark Poloncarz, by the way, gave himself a raise. Andrew Cuomo's got a raise. Andrew Cuomo's got a raise.
Great.
Total dirtbags, by the way. How do you sleep at night knowing that you've literally crushed, when there's 33 people in the hospital from anything in a what a million something people here, right?
They don't care.
You open up everything.
They don't care.
Everything.
The Democrats don't care.
No, they don't.
If the country turns into a pile of ash.
Half of them want it. I'm convinced of this. It's what is the Cloward Piven strategy, where you just crush everything and start over. The other half are just totally incompetent. They really do. There's half of them that just go, oh, it's the flu, and they can't figure out that people are going to die of anxiety and depression and all kinds of including, by the way, the mask and wearing the stupid masks where their immune systems are going to go way down and they're going to die of the normal flu. And that'll be the next thing we'll be screaming about is, oh my God, the normal flu's killing everybody.
They don't care if the country turns into a pile of ash. The Democrats don't care. Now, the other 80% of the people, they're eating their, Fluffy, come here, Fluffy.
Right.
I'm sorry, but we have to eat you or we're going to starve to death. They're eating their pets, folks, in Venezuela. That's let me remind everybody, because I think, we're getting so far down the track here of America's bad. This 1619 garbage project is a joke, right? Give me a break. This country is the best country on the face of the planet. We have been a beacon of freedom and prosperity for the rest of the world to follow. It took one generation, folks, just one, for Venezuela to go from 1999, the richest country in South and Latin America, the richest, to the poorest. In 10 years it happened.
They're doing it here.
10 more years, Venezuelans have lost an average of, 30 pounds a year. They're eating their pets. They're chasing down donkeys in the street. They have eaten all the zoo animals, so there's no more zoos in Venezuela. They're starving to death. Do you understand that? You can't get medicine. There's no hospitals. There's no medical treatment. There's no schooling anymore, right? The police departments were completely eradicated in favor of the government military. This is what these folks are openly advocating for in this country.
They're aspiring for it. And they're doing it.
And places and companies like Amazon and Nike are funding it.
Well, and
they're funding it, folks.
And they're doing it. Patriots are watching them dismantle statues, right? And not doing nothing about it.
That's the first thing they did in communist China
by the way,
and in Venezuela.
When you brainwash children and basically wash out history, right, you don't learn from your mistakes, right? So now we've got these young kids going, oh, socialism's great. We were told in school that socialism's great.
Yeah.
I went to college and I got a $90,000 degree and socialism's great. Socialism's great.
Shame on these
Not
parents. Shame on these
understanding
colleges.
the result of that, not understanding what happens with Venezuela. And it's do as I'm told, or do as I tell you, not as I do, right? So Andrew Cuomo this week is going to Georgia.
Unbelievable.
And, of course, the reporter asked him, which I'm surprised,
was
actually.
it Dave McKinley?
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Was it the lady in Syracuse?
It must have been a lady in Syracuse, but it says, are you going to self-quarantine your bag? He goes, no. No, I wish I could find. I could not find the video anywhere online.
That's for the little people.
Yeah, no, those.
No.
Do you know the law? Do you know I'm an essential worker? Okay, so we're an essential worker. We're an essential
So I
business.
guess we're good then.
Can we fly anywhere in the country?
I guess we're good.
We can fly anywhere in the country.
I guess we're good. We're going to use when we come back. Well, I'm going to leave the state and come back, and then I'm going to say I was gone for less than 24 hours, and I'm an essential worker.
Yeah.
So I guess now that's the deal, right? Essential workers are good. So if you're an essential worker, which really is a pretty wide swath, you can now feel free to leave the country. He is such a hypocrite. It's unbelievable. But again, it's not for him, Mike. No. It's for the little people.
Or
that
his
have to
brother.
obey the law.
Remember his brother comes out of the basement. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I've been out for 2 weeks. We just saw you the other day
Didn't
walking
you just get
out.
in a fight with a bike on a guy on his bicycle?
Right.
By the way, he not only did he not quarantine Chris Cuomo, he's out there lecturing everybody else on wearing masks. He was COVID positive. He left his house while COVID positive and went to a different piece of property while COVID positive.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay.
What a joke. And he's out there now on CNN lecturing everybody else about not social distancing, not wearing masks, and not quarantining. Probably kiss my ass.
So we really haven't done any radio because we skipped last week. Russ and Carl doing the radio show. Nice. But since the new requirement to serve food with alcoholic beverages now. So this coronavirus is so freaking smart, right? It's so freaking smart. It knows that Andrew's an essential worker, so it's not going to go after him.
Fine.
Doesn't hit people in Walmart, but if you in a protest, you're good. But if you walk in and have a beer with one of your buddies, who you're going to be hanging out with anyways, typically, right? Everybody's doing this. I mean, this isn't rocket science. They're all getting together. They're all hanging out with their friends, right? So now if you do that, and by the way, people go, why are they hitting the bars? It's because it's the only really power they have is to take people's liquor licenses, right? As you and I have said time and time again, if they show up at our front door and lock our doors, we'll probably try to cut one of their fingers off. Not try, but we're going to cut the locks and we're going to say, get the hell off our freaking property, right?
Exactly.
But they can hold this liquor license over them. I would tell you folks, by the way, New York State restaurant owners, they need to get together as a team and say, scrow you.
Well, what's the difference? You're going out of business anyways.
You're going to go out of business
anyways. You might as well take a shot.
They have totally, by the way, taking the reason people go to a bar or a restaurant is just to have fun, right? I'm not going to meet you and say, hey, Glenn, let's go out and talk about work at a bar. We got a mask on and a hazmat suit. I'm not going to do it, right?
Did you see I think it was the Buffalo Brew Pub down the street here on Main Street. They came out with peanuts 1 cent,
all you
right?
can eat.
All you can eat peanuts. Now they normally give away the peanuts anyway, which classifies as food. But of course, the health department came out and said no. That doesn't count as food.
By the way,
what does count as food now we're going to split those hairs too?
Here's what I want, by the way. I'm looking for some of the names of some of these health officials that are going in.
They won't return our call, by the way.
They will not return our call. No. Well, they did return it the first time, and they said, well, what station are you on? What do you want? and then they never called me back. I called again, right? That just shows you none of them have any balls to actually say, here's why we're doing this. Here's what we're doing, right? I want the names of some of these folks because I would bet everything I own that not one of these damn people that are walking into some of our great restaurants that have been out here forever, looking at one person who's not wearing a mask for 2 feet. I bet everything that they're having all their friends and family over in their backyard hanging out.
Well, look at Cuomo. He's having whole family dinners with his daughter's boyfriend and everything else. Going back to Georgia for a second, Governor Cuomo. Why in the world if you're Savannah, Georgia, I think the mayor
why do you want
invited
him?
down. Why would you listen to him? That's like asking Dr. Kevorkian to look over your family member who's got cancer. Like, you don't do that. He's got, just remind everybody again, Governor Cuomo is responsible for over 25% of the deaths across the country. We only have 6% of the population in New York. So for those of you, I love these people on Twitter. That's because New York is so much bigger. No, geniuses.
No.
New York has 6% of the national population, but 25% of the deaths, right?
That's right.
New York did stupid things like not washing the subways or mass transit until May. They did stupid things like forcing nursing homes to take COVID-positive patients from hospitals, right? Florida didn't do that. Texas didn't do that, right?
And by the
why
way,
would you have him come give you advice? And by the way, now we know for certain that Dr. Fauci is a fraud.
Yes.
He's not Dr. Mr. Fauci should be stripped of his medical credentials. You're a fraud.
Well, first of all,
right?
he
If
doesn't
you are
practice.
lauding New York as the example for the country,
Yeah, he said that New York is a
what? It's a model for the country.
model for the country.
25% of the total deaths in the country, with 6% of the population of New York. And we're going to use New York as a model?
Right.
If we use New York as a model, we would have 1 million people dead in
right.
this country right now.
That's right.
Dr. Fauci. By the way, when are you going to come out, Mr. Fauci, and recant the statement you made about hydrochloroquine not working because these bogus studies that you cited, which were completely false, supposedly, gave people heart issues?
Yeah.
Totally false, right? That company was totally debunked. It had a science fiction writer, a male model, and like 2 other people in marketing. There was no doctors even. They completely made up the study. Mr. Fauci cited that study, right? But yet didn't come back out after it was completely trashed by everybody in the medical community. He didn't come back out and say, you know what, I was wrong. Right? No, he didn't.
No.
You're a fraud. He's a fraud.
Yep. And what about,
why
by the
is
way,
Trump not firing him? I want to see a public firing. I want to see Trump bring him up on the stage, right, and say, "Oh, we're going to get some words from Mr. Fauci here," and before he steps up and go, "You're fired.
Yes.
You're fired for being a fraud. Get out. You're fired."
Well,
I want to see that. And if he did that, the American people would absolutely love it. Let me say one other thing about this year, because you mentioned this year.
And by the way, get some frontline doctors on, like we have done.
Absolutely.
Right? We've gotten Pamela Popper on. We've gotten Dr. Erickson. These are people that are actually working with COVID patients. We played a clip last week, I think it was last week, about Dr. Bartlett out of Texas, right? Who's like, look, I've studied the countries who have successfully beaten this, and I'm doing that with my patients. I've got a 100% recovery rate. That's the kind of crap that Trump should be posting every day. And by the way, he's not doing a very good job of draining the swamp.
To be honest with you, I heard a Roswell doctor on WBEN this morning, okay? And he was talking about resmetiviir, I think
That's
it's called, as being an effective treatment. No, it's not. It's not. When you actually look at the studies, they tried the drug on like 15 people. It worked on one.
Yeah. Well,
one.
Dr. Bartlett's got a 100% cure rate, and he's brought in studies from other countries who have 25 million people and 7 deaths.
What these hospitals have been doing in not looking at the actual science, not being open-minded to treatments, forcing people on the ventilators when a lot of times it wasn't the right treatment. What these hospitals have done in a lot of cases is absolute malpractice. It really is. Now, they're going to be shielded from malpractice, but it's just malpractice, right? Not allowing your loved one to come into the hospital, and now you're sick and you have no way of even talking or anything, and they're just going to do whatever they want, right? How about FaceTime? Do you ever think about that?
I was just gonna say,
how about FaceTiming? Look, I have a healthcare proxy, right? My wife has the power to make my healthcare decisions, and vice versa. If I already told her, if I go into the hospital, under no circumstances are you to allow me to go on a respirator. I will die before you put me on a respirator. There's better treatments. There's anti-inflammatory treatments. There are
that's what Dr. Bartlett's talking about.
That's what's working, right?
Dr. Bartlett, by the way, is talking about, he's going, look, I've got cancer patients, stage 4 cancer patients with COVID, and I'm breaking up the COVID, and they're moving on with their lives, right?
Right.
Why is
anti-inflammatory.
Why is Trump not bringing him front and center to talk about this, right? Look, if you are one of the ones that got that ended up with COVID, I know there's a 99.7% chance you're going to be fine, but we think it's actually closer to 99.9 now, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff that the American people need to hear, right?
No, but that's not
By
what
the
they're
way,
hearing. What they're hearing is,
your point with Zoom,
negative.
Andrew Cuomo, why do you need to go to Georgia,
Exactly.
right? So we know it's all
Exactly.
political bullshit, right?
Right.
You mean you tell me you couldn't do a Zoom meeting? And by the way, look at Glenn, I think we're a little bit wrong. He was a leader in this, right? Like he showed us.
Was a leader, all right.
He showed us what to do, right? So, for instance, his mistake of taking COVID positive patients and putting them back in the nursing home with the most vulnerable of folks, we know that killed a lot of people, right? So, but Andrew, I think you could have that conversation with George over the phone. Like, hey, look, just so you know, these people are pretty vulnerable. Their immune systems are down. Probably not a good idea to stuff COVID patients back in the, but you could do that over Zoom,
Sure,
right?
you could.
Hey, look, here's the other
Absolutely.
one, right? Like, here's what we did. We stocked up on all these ventilators. We lied to people and told them we didn't have it. Then when the president called me out on it, and guys like Mike and Glenn were doing radio shows going, what the hell? You're telling us that you need 20 ventilators. You've got 300 of them. Use them. Use them now because you might not need to use them later. God, who was right about that? Oh, yeah, we were.
Yeah,
we were, right? But here, Andrew, you can call the governor there and say, hey, look, if you do need ventilators and you have them, use them, right? You can do that through Zoom, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So he did teach the world a lot of different things, right?
right? Yep. Yeah, you could definitely have used Zoom, but instead of using Zoom, he decided to get on an airplane and travel to Georgia with his entire entourage, by the way.
How about this one, Andrew, another one? Remember when you did that study that said 7 out of 10 people died that were sitting in lockdown in their house?
Right.
And less than 2% died that went out and didn't listen to you at all? You could do that through a Zoom. Hey, that didn't work out so well, Georgia. You might want to let people go back out in the fresh air. You might want to let them go back to work because there's a 2% chance they die if they go out to work. There's a 70% chance they die if they're stuck in their house for weeks on end.
And I'm still waiting for one doctor, just one, to cite a medical study, a random controlled trial, or a random study that is a medical study that shows that face masks are effective. Not one doctor has cited one study. I had one guy on Twitter, God bless him, he said, here, I found something. He sent it to me, and it was good. It was a statistical study, however, and the statistics showed that the states with mask wearing had ever so slightly, it was like 0.2% difference. It was so slight as to be statistically insignificant. However, when you looked at it, there was dots above and below, so when you average things out, you can't say that is consistent. You can say that on average, if you average them all out, that's not a medical study. That's a statistical analysis, which ultimately the statistics were such a minor difference that it was absolutely inconsequential.
The particles of COVID are 1/3 the size of smoke particles, right? So if somebody's smoking a Marlboro Red and they breathe into your face, and you can smell it through your mask, you think about this. COVID is 1/3 that, right? But to your point, statistically, it's doing nothing. Except I do believe breathing in your own CO2 levels is going to hurt.
Well, that's what we don't know.
And
there's no studies on that either.
No, there's no studies on it. And this is just me. I just listening to folks like Dr. Erickson saying this is not good for your immune system. This is not how we build healthy immune systems. Right? Is hiding from things. We know that. By the way, somebody said to me the other day, "Well, it's not about you catching it. You can't catch it from other people, but you can give it to other people." I said, "So wait a minute. Let me get this straight. So the mask. These masks
does
are
that
all,
make any sense at all?
These masks are all one-way masks,
right? Does that make any sense at all?
I could spit out and give it to somebody, but somebody couldn't spit back at me, and like that doesn't make much sense to me, right?
So
That's
dumb. It's so
well,
dumb.
I'm not wearing one.
I love how
one.
people say, "Well, if they sneeze, though, it's the droplets." So
who sneezes on people?
Well, well, first of all,
is that a big problem?
Right, exactly, right. Well, yeah,
you and I have worked together for 23 years. I don't ever remember that we've
me sneezing in your face, coughing in your face. No,
I've spent probably more time with you than my wife, and not once in our relationship have I ever
25 years.
Never.
25 years.
I don't ever remember you walking by me and sneezing on me.
It's not been a huge problem out there, but you have eyes, do you not? I mean, it's not as if your eyes are closed things. Look, if somebody sneezes in your face,
just walk
I don't
away.
care if you have the best mask on, it's going in your eyes. You're getting COVID.
By the
if
way,
they have COVID, it's not going to make a difference.
By the way, honestly, I in my whole life, I don't think I've ever seen anybody walk up to somebody and sneeze in their face.
No, unless they're like a protest or something like that. Speaking of which, we'll shift gears in a second here. But if you like the program, by the way, if you like what you're watching, if you like what you're listening to,
5 minutes in, hit the bell.
That's good. But do us a favor, subscribe to our channel, folks. We're getting a lot of new subscribers, which is awesome. This podcast now is about 1.5 years old, so we're growing it. On Tuesday, this comes out in the podcast version. So if you're listening to this on on your iPhone or whatever, please share it with your friends. Give us a like, subscribe it, share it with your friends. That's really important. And if you're watching it on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure sure you hit the bell for notifications. We keep talking about doing more of these throughout the week. We do have a day job, folks. We do manage money for a living, so it's not always as easy as we'd like it to be to just pop into the studio and do these podcasts. But maybe at some point, as things settle down a little bit and our business isn't so busy, we can do more of these. So if you hit the bell, you'll be notified of any of the new videos that we put out there. And we're going to be coming up with more and more content, not just this, this kind of format, but also memes and funny montages and things like that we'll be working on.
And if you like us, don't be afraid to check out Russ Thompson and Carl Palladino as well. We're really putting together a network of podcasts in a sense that where ours is where money meets politics. We tend to talk more money when things get really volatile. It's been sort of quiet lately. Although I'll tell you, I had a few calls last week from our podcast from some clients that said a lot of the stuff you guys are talking about are very negative. Should we go more to cash? And I'll say, well, most of our models, all of our models are very diversified, right? We own other things besides stocks inside our model. And a lot of that depends on somebody's risk tolerance. But I would say be very careful about that, only because people would say to me, well, if the economy's really bad, doesn't that automatically mean the stock market's going to be bad? And I'll say, well, not necessarily. But I do think you're going to see a narrower range. And what I mean by that is you're going to see these winners emerge, and there's going to be less of them. But they could really emerge, right? I mean, our competition is telling their financial planners they're not allowed to see clients in their office till 2021. That's not good for them, right?
No.
There's been some big companies that have reported earnings in our industry, and they're getting crushed. I can tell you we're growing. Why are we growing? Well, one is we're open.
Right. That helps.
We're actually open. And by the way, Andrew, we're an essential business. We can fly too. But we're open, number one. Number two, we're proactive. We've been out in front of everybody, explaining what's happening, explaining what we're doing, how we're trying to take advantage of the volatility. So we're not a publicly traded company, but we're growing, right? So some of these publicly traded companies are going to win. There's going to be winners. And guess what? There's going to be losers, right? And there's going to be a lot of losers.
I hope Nike's a loser.
And you also got to be careful about that. Yeah, by the way, start voting with your pocketbooks, man. Like if you've got a Nike, I will never buy another Nike pair of sneakers again. In fact, I had one pair that was sort of like questionable that I was going to use for gardening, and I threw them in my fire and burned them. I will not buy another Nike. You know what side we're on. You've been saying this for a while. You know what side we're on. Look, if you're supporting these companies that are giving money to Black Lives Matter, right? And look, don't call me and say you don't want to support Black Lives. I'll support whatever a company wants to support as long as it's ethical. I'm in, right? So if Nike said, look, I really think, by the way, we should donate $20 million to inner cities to be able to build trade schools or something like that. I'd say, God bless you, man. That's awesome, right?
Yeah, but don't tell me
you're going to give it to an organization that is smashing windows, right? We're in Buffalo, New York. I know what some of these folks did to the businesses down in downtown Buffalo, right? And these are the businesses that are in their town.
Mike, now, Amazon just gave $10 million to Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter has a terrorist on their fundraising board, a convicted terrorist that was serving a 58-year prison sentence that was commuted the last day that Bill Clinton was in office, right? So now I think it's Susan something or other, is now on the board of Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter has changed their mission statement to, protecting black lives from police brutality, blah, blah, blah. Their mission statement now is to tear down, I'll paraphrase, to tear down the United States of America as we know it and rebuild a socialist utopia. That's basically what their mission is. So basically, Nike, the NFL, right? Roger Goodell, Amazon, right? All these companies are supporting, right, the destruction of America as we know it. Do you understand? Jeff Bezos has enough money, and Bill Gates have enough money to eradicate child poverty and hunger throughout the world.
That's right. They can just give it to people.
They don't.
That's right.
Right? Why? You should ask yourself, why? Oh, but Bill Gates,
he's so loving and kind and caring.
Jeff Bezos could care less.
That's one of the liberal hypocrisies there for sure.
It's unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's getting tougher and tougher to vote with your wallet, right? How do you not go to Amazon? That's the problem.
Nobody left.
Right? I will tell you, I'm going to start going to Walmart. I will start ordering from Walmart. Look, companies have picked their size. Budweiser decided to paint a blue stripe on all their trucks.
What other beer does Budweiser
They have chosen
own?
their size. I think they own Coors as well, don't they? Or no?
I don't know. I'll have to find that out. But you're right.
companies are
If we're having
choosing
any
their
work
side, right?
parties, we should get Budweiser.
So we've chosen our side,
Yeah.
right? We've been crystal clear about the side that Mike and I have been on for over 20 years. We are unapologetically conservative, and we will continue to be unapologetically conservative. So those are the values that we have. Those are the values that we're going to continue to have, and we've been very, very clear about that. For those of you that don't like those values, those of you that want to tear down America, you're probably not listening at this point anyhow. But I don't want anything to do with those folks anymore. And I got to tell you, even in my personal life, I'm not doing anything with. I'm not. About a year ago, 2 years ago, I would consider going out to dinner still with the liberal that we know.
Yeah.
Because they're good people. Not anymore.
No, they're not.
I'm done.
They're
I'm
not.
done. Because you know what? You're supporting terrorists. That's what
That's
you're doing.
right.
You're supporting organizations that are smashing in people's windows. You're supporting organizations that are tearing down statues and defacing public property. And I'm not just talking about statues of, General Lee or Columbus. I'm talking about statues that are like the Frederick Douglass statue
That's
in
right.
Rochester.
How about Lincoln?
You moron.
How about Lincoln?
Lincoln, right?
Lincoln, he freed the slaves.
They defaced the 9/11 memorial.
I know. Disgusting.
How low can you possibly go? Like, what is the matter with people?
Disgusting.
But that's what Amazon is funding now. That's what Nike is funding now. That's what these companies are giving money to. Well, guess what? Budweiser has chosen the opposite side. Our side has been crystal clear. If you don't like it, take your money and go somewhere else with it. Fortunately, we get to work with people that think like us every single day, and we're blessed to have that opportunity. That's it. But these companies, man, holy cow. How do they not get – well, of course, they own the press. How do they not get negative press? Well, it helps when you own the press,
Yeah, that's
right?
right.
It helps when Bezos owns the Washington
There's
Post.
nobody left in the media. I'll tell you what, even Fox is now sort of middle of the road, right? And many conservative outlets are just middle of the road. Like, I continue to hear them fear-mongering. Better wear your mask, right? The kids are in jeopardy. The kids are not in jeopardy. There's a 0.00000001 chance that you lose your child from COVID, yet much higher probability, by the way, that you're going to lose them from a poor immune system or you're going to lose them for a car accident on the way to school, right? But we're not freaking out. We're not changing the speed limits everywhere, right? So I wanted to, with this Buffalo business first, lack of color, by the way. I don't know why, but they're picking on the financial industry. Is that locally because you and I are in the financial industry?
I don't
maybe?
know. This is frustrating to me, though, because we're talking about race, talking about Black Lives Matter. Look, if Black Lives Matter was funding the Boys and Girls Clubs of the inner cities, okay.
If they were
division.
funding trade schools or funding any type of higher education to move up, I'm in.
If they were providing scholarships,
That's
maybe, right? For
There you
kids to
go.
go to college,
There
right?
you go.
If they were creating job opportunity zones inside of inner cities,
if
right?
they were out there protesting that Burgard in the city of Buffalo has a 35 or 40% graduation rate, guess what? I grab my sign. Let's go. I'm in. I want to change that to 80, 90, 100%.
But I don't know if maybe Business First didn't see the hypocrisy in this. I mean, here's the Business First from this last week or so. I just want to show this to you. Lack of color. Okay, this is the headline here, folks. Lack of color. Most people leading Western New York businesses are white. A look at why so few African Americans hold positions of power here.
Oh, I thought that was finance, by the way. What I'm thinking is the
it's all businesses.
There was a younger lady in her upper 30s that said, "There's no black people in the finance business, and I'm starting my own firm to hire black folks." So
why didn't they do the medical industry though?
That's
why
right.
didn't they say why is there not enough black people in the medical industry? Let me just flip the page just for a second here, okay?
Excellence
this is the
in
excellence in healthcare, the 2020 winners. Do you notice anything about the 2020 healthcare winners? Every one of them are white. Now, last I checked, there's a lot of Asians and a lot of Indian Americans that are.
I would think some black folks too,
right?
Yeah.
And probably some black folks that are wonderful doctors, right? In fact, we know Dr. Rich Brown. He's a wonderful doctor. Now, he's not a medical doctor; he's a chiropractor, but he's a wonderful doctor. Do you not see the hypocrisy? Look at right here. Your front page cover. Your inside ad. Front page cover.
They took the money though,
ad.
didn't they?
Front page cover,
I bet you they took the money for this.
Inside ad.
Bet you they took the money for this.
Right?
Yeah.
Not one. Really?
By the way, we both do a
Okay.
lot of recruiting
Okay.
in the financial industry, and I will tell you the problem in the financial industry is not that. Look at Glenn and I will tell you this: I don't care whether you're tall, short, blue, black, yellow, red. If you do a good job in helping and managing
Right.
money, whether it's the financial planning side or you want to be, what we would call chartered financial analyst, and you want to start to specifically manage portfolios, we don't care what you are. You do a good job or a bad job, we're gonna reward you or analyze. That's what we're gonna judge your effort on, right? But don't tell me that we are not hiring enough black people. I do every day. You and I both do, but I do specifically try to do the first reach out. There's not people licensed, right?
No.
Black Lives Matter, by the way, if you want to make a change in somebody's life, put together a training program to start to educate and train and certify. You have to have a certification to run people's money. There's different certifications, but if Black Lives Matter said, I'm going to protest, and I want money for training to train the inner city black kids on how to become financial planners, I'm in. In fact, we would donate our time. We'd say we're there.
So the article talks about, the fact that, education is part of it. Poverty and single household parents, households are part of it, but a bigger part of it is the circles that you run in. So if you look at that's total poppycock. Okay, let me tell you something. We were not in wealthy circles. Okay, we were not born of money. We're not Jacobs, right? We weren't born into the the Clinton family or anything like that, right? Our relatives are not, they don't own Delaware North, or they weren't the Riches, right? I'm not a junior Bob Rich.
No flying planes in our no planes in our family.
Right? We don't own any of that stuff, right? We're not relatives of Pagulas or anything else, right? We didn't come from those circles. So to say that, black folks are not in those circles, and in those circles, all the white people hire each other, that's total horse
garbage.
crap. What this is. Look at, do those circles exist?
Sure.
You're damn right they do. Guess what? We're not in them either, right? We didn't get to play in that circle. Remember the article from all the people that lost all their money in that stupid stock that Chris Collins was promoting?
Yes.
Remember the Buffalo News article? All the big money in Western New York went to Glen Arthur's. Those are the white people that are in that circle that go to Glen Arthur's, right? The smart money went to the financial guys, right? We didn't own any of that garbage stock. We didn't promote it to our clients. We didn't buy any of our personally. And if any of our clients brought it up, and several did, hey, what do you think about the stock that Chris Collins? We'd say the same thing. It's a penny stock.
Too risky.
Don't touch it, right? Not worth the risk. Guess what? People found out the hard way, right? But that's the old money circle. Let me tell you something. Education is the biggest part of it. Don't tell me it isn't, right? Education is the number one problem that we have in inner cities, right? The number two problem, if not the number one problem, maybe they're neck and neck, is single-parent households, right? We need to fix that. There are studies that show this, that the majority of poverty-stricken households are single-parent households, right?
Dad's a sperm donor and takes off.
That's right. The biggest way to get out of poverty is to stay married and to raise a family in a two-parent household. But guess what? Even if you have a two-parent household, if you have a fifth grade reading level and you're getting your high school degree with that, something's wrong. Where are you going in life if you're not even graduating from high school? In Buffalo, New York, 50% or so of the kids that graduate don't have an education, first of all. Those are the ones that do graduate. The other 50% don't graduate. They drop out of school. Where are they going? They're not becoming financial planners. They're not becoming teachers. They're not becoming lawyers. They're not becoming doctors. They're not becoming anything, right? Because they don't have an education. So don't tell me that, education plays a part of it, but not the biggest part. No, it's the biggest part. It's the biggest part. If you don't have an education, there's nothing that you can do. If you're educated, I don't care what color you are, right? If you have knowledge and you have learned and you have been taught, you can do anything you put your mind to. It doesn't matter what. Look we have a black mayor in the city of Buffalo.
That's right.
What you're talking about? We have a black mayor in the city of Buffalo, right?
A black mayor, a black board members, of school board members. We've got a black president.
Stop playing the victim and start fixing the problems. Like that's the thing.
Yeah, the real
Black
problems.
Lives Matter is not fixing the problem. Black Lives Matter is not funding after-school tutoring programs to help these kids get educated. They're not doing that, folks. They're funding paramilitary, anarchist, Marxist, communist groups. We talked about Russia, not we, the Democrats talk about Russia spending $200,000 on Facebook ads to influence the election. Let me tell you where the influence from Russia is right now. It's in the postal workers dropping Republican ballots in the dumpster.
Yeah.
It's with Facebook. It's in CDC promoting numbers that are false, right? We just hauled that story this week. CDC, mixed up the results and they added in the antibody test along with the other tests, right? That's where Russia is, embedded in China and all these little places.
Yeah, that's we're self-destructing ourselves. Forget about Russia,
Crazy.
right? I mean, as you point out, CDC, look at the Florida numbers, right? So now we're finding out that 110 testing stations. We're told Florida's this hotspot, and I'm looking at the Florida numbers.
But they haven't revised them.
But I'm going to look at the Florida numbers going, wait a minute, the death rates are going down in Florida.
But when are they going to revise those Florida numbers?
Yeah, no, right. So but now we find out we've got 110 testing spots that instead of reporting 9.85, they reported 98.5, right? We were told, by the way, that if we all get tested, stop getting tested, by the way. Unless for some reason you absolutely have to, stop getting tested because it's bullshit. We were told, go get tested. If the numbers are real high, then we'll know it's more like the normal flu, which means lots of people have it, low deaths. So everybody gets tested, and then they hold it against us and go, look, it is blowing out of control. But now we're realizing, okay, that might not even be true. Right. It might be low numbers, low deaths.
Well, the thing in Florida is you had 100 places in Florida that overestimated the positive results by tenfold.
By tenfold.
Not by a couple.
Right.
10 times. So if 1,000 people got tested at the station at this one facility, right? And they were supposed to say, well, 94 were positive. They said all 1,000 were positive.
Yeah.
But yet, I haven't seen have you seen revised numbers in Florida? No. I haven't seen Florida numbers come back out and say, you know what? And here's the real numbers. We took them down.
The best part is they're saying, well, the hospitals are overwhelmed. Well, the hospitals are overwhelmed because you told and scared the crap out of everybody for 3 months and said, please don't come into the hospital with your broken clavicle because you're going to get COVID and die. That's why the hospitals are overwhelmed. Right. You pointed out you caught something with your leg a few years ago in Florida, and you had to be out in the hallway because there was no room. Now, COVID wasn't around. Nobody could spell COVID back then, right? But you were nobody was reporting, oh my God, this hospital's overwhelmed with patients. It's overwhelmed with not COVID people. It's overwhelmed with the fact that for 3 months we had a built-up inventory of people that needed stuff. Are there some people coming in for COVID? Yes. Absolutely, by the way, this flu is starting to mutate itself, and the strain is becoming weaker and weaker and weaker, and we have better treatments for it. And to your point before, Dr. Fauci, how in the hell is he not fired? Get somebody up there every single day. Trump should be having a press conference with frontline doctors like Dr. Erickson who are saying, here's exactly what's going on.
Right.
Here's the truth.
Counter the narrative.
Stop scaring the shit out of people and let people go back to ball games. Let people go back to, first of all, we have 33 people in Western New York in the hospital, of which 99.7% are going to come out of it. And we can't go watch the Bills or baseball or have a rock concert. I mean, are you kidding me? Like that's totally ridiculous.
But you can have a protest.
And you health inspect. By the way, if you know health inspectors, I want their names. I really do. I want to track these people down. I want to find out if they're social distancing. I'll tell you what, they're trying to shut down every day. Think about these restaurants that are just hanging on by a thread. Right. And I know that. We're talking to restaurants that have been around for 17 years, profitable restaurants that are saying, I don't think we're going to make it out of this. And you've got some dirtbag health inspector who couldn't give a shit about the protest, right? Why didn't we take these health inspectors down to the protest and put them in the front line, right? They seem to be so brave going into an Anchor bar and trying to give them a $5,000 or $10,000 fine. Why didn't we put them down in the city of Buffalo when there was 2,000 people down there protesting, right? Why didn't we send them to Manhattan or wherever they were smashing windows in there to get some of these people? Why are they being fined, right? No, you know why? Because they know that these business owners put their entire lives into this. They know that they can't lose their liquor license, so they have to play. It's like it's turned into Goodfellas. It's the mob.
Oh, yeah.
It's the mob.
As people say, the mob didn't ever left New York. It just went into politics.
Yeah, that's right.
All.
That's exactly what it did.
The mob just went in the government, right?
So now, by the way,
no mistake.
in Kentucky, and this is really scary. By the way, the police officers that watch this, you know we love and respect you, but you have to understand what you signed up for, right? Couple under house arrest after refusing to sign COVID-19 quarantine agreement, right? I mean, imagine that. They're putting ankle bracelets on these freaking people, right? And meanwhile, the CDC acknowledges mixing up coronavirus testing, and that just goes nowhere. This goes nowhere.
Right.
By the way, drain the swamp,
this
Trump.
Is a big deal,
you want to win the election, by the way, Trump? Now is the time for you to stand up and get rid of some of these people. Wipe out the FBI. Wipe out the CDC. Wipe them all out.
Right.
Stop funding this garbage, right?
Exactly.
They clearly don't give a shit. And, of course, now New York requirement to serve beer with alcoholic beverages. How asinine is this? So you think about, I was just bitching about these protesters, right? If you're a restaurant owner, you've got to fight permits, right? You've got to get plexiglass. You have to you have to hire somebody to consistently wipe things down. You've got to count people. How asinine is this? You got to hire somebody as a counter. Okay, I think one person left. You can come in now, right? Someone to constantly do all this stuff. And meanwhile, you're also hearing that you can be at 25, 30% capacity. And now, but again, you can protest all you want, and nobody cares. There's not a health official anywhere. If you want to show up and smash windows,
they all came out. We read that on the air. The health officials came out, like 1,000 of them, and said, "Well, it's because of the racial inequality. It's so more important."
Oh, it's so more important.
So it's okay.
That's right.
This is a joke, though. This whole thing here, CDC acknowledges mixing up coronavirus testing. First reported by NPR's WLRN station in Miami, the practice has drawn ire from U.S. health experts who say combining the test inhibits the agency's ability to discern the country's actual testing capacity. You've got to be kidding me, Ashish Jha, director of the Harvard Global Health Institute, told The Atlantic. How could the CDC make that mistake? Let me tell you how the CDC can make that mistake. On purpose.
Yep.
That's how the CDC can make the mistake. When I say the communists, the Marxists, the Russians, the Chinese, right? This is a battle that's been going on for 60, 70 years in this country. We won the Cold War. We're losing now.
Yes.
Right? We won against Russia and communist Cuba. We became the global superpower. We were the one with the super big economy that was able to sink Russia just by outspending them in the arms race, right? We did that. That was a robust economy thanks to Reagan, right? But guess what? We let our guard down. And guess what happened? They infiltrated our schools, our universities. They started teaching our kids absolute Marxist garbage. And now those kids from 20, 30, 40 years ago are at the CDC. They're at the post office,
That's right?
They're at the election board, right? They're counting your ballots, right? That's what they're doing, right? This is why you get numbers like the CDC. This isn't a mistake.
No.
Don't tell me this is a mistake. This is absolutely on purpose to inflate the numbers, to give the backup to the Democrat governors to shut down and destroy our economy.
That's right. And Trump, we need you, man. We need you to step up and grab these people by the throats and say, you know what, CDC, tell them you lied. Tell them you were wrong, right? Stop it, right? The problem is the CDC throws these numbers out, and it's like saying, okay, you abused me. Okay, well, think about those guys at the Duke rape trial, right?
Right.
She lied and accused those people of something they didn't do.
Yep.
Now, we all know they didn't do it, but it's still on their record and tarnished, right?
right.
There's still that little thought that, remember they were involved in that thing, right? The Mount Juliet man says, even with no test, he's informed he is COVID-19 positive.
We have heard this a lot. So I have gotten a lot of
Got a Democrat
stories from
voting
people.
ballot in the mail, too, I think.
That's right. Yeah. So that's what's happening, folks. We had a client came in recently, and she had two friends in Tennessee. They got in the COVID line to be tested, right? Now, I don't have proof of this. This is just a story that I'm hearing from, our client who heard it from her friends. They got in the COVID testing line. The line was too long. And so they got out of the line. They went home. They figured they'd come back a different day. The next day, before they had a chance to go back, they got a call from the testing center. They found out they were positive. Interesting, right? Never even got the test, right? So what they're doing is they're going off the names going, well, we don't have a result here. Oh, we'll make it positive. Oh, we don't have a result here. Oh, we'll make it positive, right? We didn't actually test them. Oh, we'll make it positive. We heard from somebody locally here that hit our Facebook page, right? Saying the exact same thing.
How about,
never tested, somehow got a positive result.
How about this?
Oh, by the way, got a call from the police.
Yes.
That's a violation of HIPAA.
That? How scary is that?
Oh, but that's a HIPAA violation, absolutely.
True story. Client of ours, son, by the way, gets a call from a police officer, says, hey, I know, I just saw your name on the list. I'm just hoping you're okay. He says, what are you talking about? I'm not positive. Oh, but you're on our list. What do you mean? The police have a list? I mean, the lawsuits have just got to be.
If there's going to be lawsuits,
if anything's going to bankrupt this country, it will be this, right? It'll be these lawsuits. And by the way, I would encourage you to get into on them, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, if they've violated your rights, clearly they violated this client's rights,
absolutely.
right? This client, how in the world, by the way, is a police officer? And second of all, what are you police officers doing?
Right.
I mean, what are you doing house arresting somebody?
Right.
I'll tell you what, I quit. You tell me as a police officer I'm going to arrest somebody because they might have COVID, I'm going to put them on house arrest. I say, I am done. I am out. have fun, have a great life.
And let me tell you something. The excuse of, well, we have to follow orders, we're just doing what we're told.
Yeah.
I would encourage you to look up
think through that.
look up the Nuremberg trials and see how that defense worked for those folks. They hung those folks.
That's right. That's
so
right.
don't give me this. I'm just following orders.
Yeah, and by the way,
gotta follow the Constitution.
and here's what I continued here. Well, it's just a mask. It's just a business.
Sure it is.
It's just a pause. It's just plexiglass.
Yeah.
It's just your business that you put your entire life into, right?
Yep.
And don't worry about it. It's only, you know what, we're doing the best for everybody without any type of, they're not following the science whatsoever.
No.
They've lied and lied and lied. And you business owners that continue to play into Cuomo's bullshit, at some point you deserve some of this stuff, right? Somebody in the restaurant and the entertainment industry step up and say enough is enough. If you all get together, I'll tell you what, the protesters proved one thing. If you put 5,000 people together, you can accomplish pretty much whatever you want.
Yep.
You can smash windows and do whatever you want. So why the hell don't we get 5,000 restaurants together and just say, we're opening up. If you think you've got a compromised immune system, don't show up. We're not playing your crap anymore.
Right.
Done.
It can't, and this state is a lost cause, I think.
Right.
You know, places like Michigan, you saw how that worked, right? You had armed people show up in mass. Now, nobody got hurt. No punches were thrown. Not a single arrest was made. No violence whatsoever. But that show of force, that rattled Governor Whitmer's cage, and she changed her tune. Let me just go. I'm gonna play this 25-second clip to end the show here.
Amazing to me, though, how incompetent people. I'm still talking to people that say Andrew Cuomo did a great job, and I'll say, was it putting the vulnerable people into the nursing homes that you thought was good?
Yeah.
Was it holding back the ventilators? Is it the fact that we have the most amount of deaths in the entire country?
Yeah,
right, we're
part?
number one. Which one is successful? Because I would look at success by saying, well, we locked down. We had the harshest lockdown, and we've got the lowest amount of deaths. I'd say, look, Florida's got 30,000 deaths. We only have 4,000. It's because I told you to lock in place. We smashed all your businesses and ruined your restaurants and anything service related. However, we only have 4,000. They have 30,000. Which one is it? Because I'm looking at this as a total freaking disaster, right? And by the way, if we had the harshest lockdowns and we've lost the most amount of people, these deaths ain't over yet, folks.
Right.
The suicides are going to rack themselves up, right? And we're not even talking about outside of the U.S. We're talking inside the U.S. As you've pointed out many times, a 1% drop in GDP kills millions of people globally.
Yep.
We are going to kill millions and millions of people the way this was handled all over the flu. That statistically, we know if we didn't include motorcycle accidents, here's another one, by the way. I've got another one out of Florida. Motorcycle accident victim considered as COVID. So we know even in the state of Florida that has a governor with a brain in his head,
but again,
it's
the people counting them.
They're still counting, right? It's not who gets the most votes, it's who counts the most votes, right?
That's right.
So now what's happening is another motorcycle victim this week out of Florida died of COVID, even though he lost his life on a throughway.
What a joke.
Yeah, let's end it with this. By the way, us, hit the bell on YouTube. Our website, by the way, thefinancialguys.com.
That's right.
And you can find all our social media there.
They didn't take that guy off the count, did they?
No.
Right. Just like they didn't go back and say,
they never do.
All these numbers were 10 times inflated. They didn't change those numbers yet.
None.
Right? Has the CDC fixed this yet?
The only numbers that got changed, this is how shady it is. We were up to 30-something thousand deaths in New York, right?
Yeah.
Now, miraculously, we're down to 25. As soon as Andrew is now in trouble, right? As soon as we go, wait a minute, a big chunk of those deaths were in nursing homes, and you put COVID-positive patients back in the nursing home. Holy crap. Well, those people died of something else, and the numbers changed overnight. It's unreal.
You want to talk about a dropping death rate. It literally is dropping in New York. It went from 31,000 to 25,000.
Yeah, in a week, in an overnight. We looked at the numbers and said, wait a minute, where do these people
go?
And
not a single media outlet questioned that.
No, not one.
So this is what Nike is funding. This is what Amazon just gave money to.
And we'll end on this note.
This is exactly what these folks want. Listen carefully here, what they want.
Next time you buy something from Nike, a good pair of Nikes for $300 and something, think twice.
Yep.
Hi, everyone. As many of you know, my name is Lilith Sinclair. I'm an Afro-Indigenous, non-binary local organizer here in Portland.
What? What is she?
She's a Afro-Indigenous, non-binary activist. I can tell you what she also is. Probably unemployed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and slightly mentally deranged.
What is a Afro-Indigenous
I don't know.
Non-binary. What is non-binary?
I don't know. I have no clue. I have no clue. I was raised, there's men and women, and we have two different body parts.
Look, gay is one thing. I get gay.
Yeah.
Right? What does non-binary mean?
No.
I mean, in all seriousness, what does that even mean?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway.
I thought it was an airplane when I was
Non-binary.
3.
I thought that was like a computer term or something.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that like something in DOS?
I remember when I
don't
was
know.
3, I thought it was an airplane. My mom's like, no, you can't fly. So I just stopped it. Just stopped it.
Anyway, let me play this again. Let's start again.
Hi everyone. As many of you know, my name is Lilith Sinclair. I'm an Afro-Indigenous, non-binary local organizer here in Portland, organizing for the abolition of not just the militarized police state, but also the United States as we know it. I want to make sure
Can you just put that on
while
hold?
we are
So we'll post this video, by the way, but just so you know, the background is all the shit they've ruined. Look at her background. It's total trash, right? Spray paint everywhere. They've destroyed this building behind them, right? Totally destroyed the building behind them.
We want to. What did she say? We not only want to change the police, but we want to
Change America.
Change America as we know. Is that what she's
as we
saying?
know
Back
it.
to-
Yep.
Why is there a priest behind her?
Yeah.
In all seriousness, there's a priest behind her. Why?
Right.
But yeah, you're right. The windows and everything else, the spray
Smash.
paint.
This is what they want, folks.
I want to make sure that while we are standing here on
Wait, I got to back.
Yeah, what is a priest doing
organizing
behind
for the abolition of not just the militarized police state, but also the United States as we know it.
It's got to be a fake priest, right?
I want to make sure that while we are standing here on stolen land, we make sure to do a land.
Stolen land.
Why doesn't she then leave the stolen
That's
land?
right. Go.
You're Afro-Indigenous, right?
You can-
Apparently.
Why don't you float over to Cuba and see how it works
Seriously,
out?
if you believe it's stolen land,
Then get out of here.
who do you think the Indians got it from?
That's right.
right? Do you think they stole land from each other constantly?
Yes.
They did.
They
That's how it
did.
worked. Let me just play that again, though. I want to make sure you hear this clearly.
Yeah.
Because she
They
wants
never
to
float out of here. Why is that?
No,
why
never.
is that? And by the way, and I think this is something we should really consider. Some of these people are floating out of communist places
to
to
get
get
here.
away from big government, right? I actually think we start making a trade. I really do.
Yeah, I should
right?
agree.
Like, look at the NFL's going away. There's going to be no. We'll trade her
Right.
for somebody who wants to come over here
That's
and
right.
have the freedom to
Absolutely.
work. Right? It's a straight trade up. Right? She wants to get out of here. She clearly doesn't like America. She thinks the land's stolen. Get the hell out. We'll trade her straight up for somebody who wants to come in and work.
Exactly.
I'm in. I'm in.
Be perfect.
Organizer here in Portland, organizing for the abolition of not just the militarized police state, but also the United States as we know it.
Okay. Not the defunding,
Right.
not the changing, not the fixing. The abolition of the police and America as we know it. Well, guess what? I like America as we know it.
Yeah.
America as we know it gave my parents the opportunity to build a business and give me the life that I was able to enjoy.
Only
right?
place in the world where you can go from the lowest tax ring
Wow.
to the upper tax ring within
Wow.
a 10-year block.
Unbelievable.
Fastest mobility there is.
I wish I had this other clip. I don't have it handy. I'll post it as well. But there was a clip I had from Venezuela of a young lady from Venezuela saying, I fled Venezuela. This is how it started. They're eating their pets now, right? I don't have that handy, but unbelievable.
And why don't they know that? Well, it's because we don't teach them that anymore in school. But it is important that you walk out with understanding French or Spanish.
Here, by the way, when I mentioned earlier, and I'll post this as well, about the post office, things like that, postal worker pleads guilty to altering party affiliation on ballot requests. A mail carrier in Virginia's Pendleton County has pleaded guilty to election fraud. This is one of many.
Out without
This
without
is
bail.
how they win.
Out without bail.
Right?
Out without bail,
Unbelievable.
probably, right?
All right, that's gonna do it for us.
Mike Lomas,
Thanks for
Club
watching.
Legal Financial Guys. Thanks for watching. Our website, thefinancialguys.com. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube. There's not enough conservative talk out there. Please support us. Share it with your friends. And we'll see you next week.